Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Yushan Forum press conference this afternoon. I know you've been waiting for a while, and so let me just begin by introducing our distinguished guests. Present with us today are the Honorable Mahendra Chaudhary, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji. Welcome. Yes. And the next, the Right Honorable Sir Liam Fox, former Secretary of State for International Trade of the United Kingdom. Yes. Welcome, sir. Yes. And Ambassador Christoph Heusgen, former Chairman of the Munich Security Conference and the former Chief Advisor on Foreign and Security Policy to German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Welcome, sir. And the next, Dr. Randus Ishak Karaman, former Chair of the National Defense Committee of the Netherlands House of Representatives. Welcome, sir. Yes. Next, the Honorable Erin O'Toole, President and Managing Director of ADIT North America, former leader of the Conservative Party of Canada and the former leader of Canada's official opposition. Welcome, sir. Yes. Last but not least, the Honorable Jan Lipovsky, Member of Parliament and the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you all for being with us today. So, well, as you know, the Yushan Forum is a leading platform for global dialogue and does much to showcase Taiwan's role as a trusted partner in the world's prosperity and security. We have asked these honored guests to speak with us this afternoon to demonstrate the firm support that Taiwan enjoys among like-minded partners. It is also an honor to invite our esteemed guests to be with us now. So, without further ado, I would like to invite first Mr. Chaudhary to address the audience, please.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to you all. This is my first visit to Taiwan. It's the first time I've come to your lovely country. And I've been here now for 2 days. And from whatever I've seen so far, I'm quite impressed. Our relations go back, Fiji-Taiwan relations go back to the year 1971. That's 1 year after we gained independence from Britain, when Taiwan established a trade office in Fiji, in Suva. In 1978, it established a technical mission. And since then, it has been providing us technical assistance in various fields, in agriculture, in health, in education, in renewable energy, and so forth. So we value this assistance that we have been receiving over the years, particularly in the agriculture sector, because we are largely an agricultural country. We have lots of land, we've got good climate, and we can grow a lot of things which we're not doing at the moment. We are importing quite a bit of food from abroad, which we can grow locally if we have the right technology, if we have the right know-how to improve our agricultural yield. And this I'm also saying because we intend to improve our food security. That's going to be a big issue in the coming years. And I think as a developing country, we need to make sure that our people have enough to eat because food does constitute a big part of the budget of the ordinary masses. So the more we can produce, the cheaper we can give our food to our people. So our focus is on agriculture, and much of our land is not utilized at the moment, so we need to improve on that. So we appreciate the assistance we are receiving from the Taiwan technical mission in this field. I've also seen your governance as a nation, and I'm quite impressed by that, because you have democratic values which we share with you. You have I'm told you have a very independent media, very fierce media. You are ranked amongst the least corrupt countries in by Transparency International, something which you should be very proud of, because corruption is a big problem in the developing countries these days. For us, we know that, we experience this. And a lot of resources of the country are lost to corruption when it should be going to development. So we can learn a lot from you in that respect as to how you govern your nation. True democratic values, strong media, strong anti-corruption laws, and accountability and transparency in governance. Although Fiji has accepted the One China policy, it has, but personally my views are different on this issue. Whilst we cannot say that we do not recognize China, of course not, but at the same time we cannot ignore Taiwan, particularly when it has been we have had relations with it long before China came into the picture. So the position that my party, I'm the leader of the Fiji Labour Party, has taken is that we should give recognition to countries which are genuinely committed to assisting us. We need to give them proper recognition, and this is what, if we get into government, our elections are later this year or early next year, we propose to follow this policy of giving recognition to Taiwan as a development partner, due recognition. So that's all I'll say for the moment. I'm very pleased to be here, and thank you very much for your hospitality and your kindness.
各位午安，这次其实是我第一次来到台湾，来到这个美好的国度。那来这边2天，让我印象非常深刻。那台湾斐济的关系要从1971年开始说起，也就是斐济1970年独立之后的隔一年。那当年1971年，台湾在斐济成立了一个贸易办事处。那1978年的时候，台湾则在斐济成立相关技术团。所以在过去多年来，一直提供斐济重要的技术的一些支援。那领域呢扩及不同的地方，比如说农业、医疗、教育，然后呢还有再生能源等等。所以我们非常重视台湾对于斐济的各项的帮忙。那重点特别是在农业的部分，因为斐济非常仰赖农业，然后呢当地的这一个土地的部分非常重要。那斐济非常重视食安，所以如果没有提供相关正确的科技，那这样子是没有办法来成长，然后呢种出足够的一个粮食，所以粮食安全是斐济非常重视的一个议题之一，要让我们的人民有东西便宜的粮食能够食用，这样才能够富养我们的国家。所以非常的感谢台湾技术团在过去多年来的一个协助。那么其实就我本人而言，斐济也非常的恭贺，然后非常承认整个台湾的一个国家的治理，非常认可台湾治理的一个方式。因为台湾的政府呢，其实跟斐济有许多共享价值。那台湾媒体非常强劲，而且有许多反贪污，然后的一些规章非常重视政府的透明等等。那其实我们也知道，开发中国家整个贪腐问题是一个很严重的议题，所以台湾在治理的这个部分，政府治理的部分，其实让我们印象非常的深刻。那当然有关于一中政策的部分，我认为我们不能够忽略掉台湾，所以呢，以我这 这个斐济劳工党的部分，我们的一个观点就是要继续的去承认、去正视那一些帮助斐济的这些合作的伙伴，所以我们也会将台湾去视为所谓的一个开发的重要的伙伴。那最后非常的谢谢各位的款待，然后很开心可以参与这一次的论坛。
Thank you, Mr. Chowdhury. I now invite Sir Liam to give us some remarks, please.
One of my own. Well, good afternoon. You can smile, it's okay. This is also my first trip to Taiwan, almost unbelievably. When I was United Kingdom Trade Secretary, I travelled 2 weeks every month for 3 years. But such was the attraction of Taiwan to my deputy, I never actually got here. He always took the visits to Taiwan, but it was working with your delegation in Geneva when I was running to be the Director General of the World Trade Organization that I really got to work and understand them, and not least develop my taste for Catalan whiskey. And let me tell you, when a Scotsman develops a taste for your whiskey, that's definitely a compliment. I have been hugely impressed by my time here. The people that we have interacted with have been really of the highest quality, and hugely informative, hugely helpful, and hugely pleasant to be with. But for me, the key thing about this particular forum is the talk about the values that Taiwan has and the values that we share, and where our commonality really lies. It was a point that was raised by both the President and the Vice President today. And I think it's worth just repeating what we believe those values to be. Freedom. Freedom is something that you can't put a value on unless you've never had it or had it taken away. And the value of freedom is that it unleashes the creativity and the innovation of people. And that's what you do not get in a repressive state. And that is why it's so wonderful to see so many young faces at our forum and be able to explain just how important it is that that freedom is protected and cherished at all times. Secondly, the rule of law. Rule of law isn't just about creating an ordered society. It also, in economic terms, is great encouragement for those who want to invest in the country, knowing that any dispute resolution is dealt with in a fair, predictable, and appropriate way. It's a great economic tool, and I know that part of the ETP that the United Kingdom signed was about increased investment. Both our countries have a respected rule of law, and that makes both an attractive place to invest money. And of course, with rule of law comes respect for human rights. And at a time when we witness in the world widespread abuses of human rights, the more countries who stand shoulder to shoulder in the defense of basic human rights, the better. And then along with those comes democracy. Again, if you've never experienced anything other than democracy, it is very hard to imagine the frustration that comes from the inability to choose the government under which you live. And it is such a tremendously hard fought for element historically. So many people have sacrificed so much to get democracy that those of us who have it at all times must recognize the historic responsibility we have to preserve it and to look after it. And as I was saying this morning, one of the things I really love about coming here is that it's in no way ashamed of its free market principles. Understanding that competition is a good thing. Competition is the way by which we measure our talents against one another in a free, fair, and civilized society. That it produces excellence, which produces innovation. All these are great things. But again, in a world where protectionism is becoming way too prevalent, countries who again can share our belief in free markets can help put the world back on track economically. Finally, I would say our understanding of the value of security, the sacrifices made for security, and what it really means. And in particular, I mean that peace is not just the absence of conflict. Peace is much more than that. Peace is about values, peace is about justice, peace is also about the fear of conflict, the fear being free from the fear of coercion. And all of these things come together. They are a way in which we are shaped as nations, a way in which we are shaped as people. And they are things that are so important that more than anything else, they're the elements we cherish. And again, in a world where people don't talk about values nearly as much as they did perhaps even a generation ago, it's important that those of us who do believe in these things stick together. The United Kingdom is a naturally good partner for Taiwan. I apologize for not having been here before, and I apologize for how many times you're likely to see me again in the not too distant future. Thank you.
大家午安，这一次也是我第一次来到台湾。那么其实我之前担任这个英国贸易部大臣的大概3年多期间，每2周就会有这一个出访的行程。可是很可惜，当时候都没有来到台湾。那这一次能够来，真的非常的开心，也非常的荣幸。那么其实之前我在参与这个相关的一个 WTO， 然后执行长等等的一个日内瓦那边有跟台湾做一些紧密的一个合作，所以其实跟大家报告一下，英国的然后苏格兰人都非常的热爱这边的这一个噶玛兰威士忌。那么其实就我来到台湾这几天以来，与这边的人们互动，大家的素质真的都非常的优秀，然后呢提供我非常多资讯，然后对我注意良多。那特别在这一个玉山论坛的一个部分，我认为重点就是要谈到台湾还有我们各国所共享的这一些价值，那也包括了赖总统还有萧副总统今天稍早有提到的这些共享的价值。那这边稍微再说明一下，我认为第一个非常重要的是自由的一个价值，因为自由的话，假使你曾经拥有过，可是自由被剥夺掉了，那你才会认知到自由的重要性。而自由呢，则是可以解放人们的创意还有创新。那这样子的创意创新百花齐放的情况，其实就在那些受到压抑的那些国度当中无法开展开来。那所以呢，在这个论坛当中，我遇到了非常多年轻的优秀的人才，然后让我们看到其实自由真的非常值得被保护还有珍视。那么第二个部分则是在法治的部分，而我认为法治其实不是只在社会制度社会秩序的部分，重点还是经济。因为如果经济有了一定的一个制度存在，这样子能够确保投资的一个信心，我们可以让投资人知道整个争议的一个解决是能够透过公平合理可预测而且妥善的方式来解决。特别是我了解到整个台英的这个 ETP 提升贸易伙伴关系的部分，其实其中强化投资就是一个重点。那么因为台英两个地方其实都是遵守整个法治，那当然也包括投资还有人权的部分。所以当今有许多呢人权遭到滥用剥夺的一个案例，那我相信呢我们各方应该要团结一心来捍卫这些基本的人权。那么在第三个部分则是民主的一个地方，所以其实民主啊，假设你没有办法去选出自己要由谁来领导，那这样子你会非常挫折。所以民主我们现在享有的这个民主果实，都是前人在历史的洪流当中不断的去累积，做出牺牲，让我们能够今天享有这样子民主的一个果实。那再来台湾有这个所谓的自由市场的原则，我认为非常重要。所以因为台湾非常重视自由市场，也因此让我们这边看到竞争是一个优良的事情，然后让我们呢以良性竞争的方式，然后在这个公平，然后呢开放的一个文明社会，大家一起共创，发想出更多的一个创新。所以在当前有许多这个保护主义比较呢猖狂蔓延的一个部分，我认为整个自由市场的信念我们必须捍卫，那这样子才能够让整个经济全国经济回到一个正轨上面。那再来呢，其实我非常的重视所谓的最后一个部分，就是所谓的安全的这个地方，和平的一个部分。那我认为其实和平不是只是代表说没有任何的冲突，那重点还是要去确保整个正义，然后相关的价值，还有那些对于冲突对于胁迫的那些担忧，这样子的情况是形塑了我们每一个人 还有我们每一个国家，也是应该我们要重点要去珍惜的那些要素等等，然后去谈论相关的一个议题。所以英国当然是台湾非常重要的一个伙伴。那我这一次最后再次跟大家稍微说声抱歉，之前没有来到台湾，但非常开心此行能够前来，谢谢。
Thank you, Sir Lim, for your kind and encouraging words. Thank you. Now, just let me offer the floor to Ambassador Heusgen. Yeah, Ambassador, please.
Thank you very much. As the previous speakers, I would like to also express my gratitude for the kind invitation to come to Taiwan, and also my appreciation for the very generous hospitality that was expressed. It's, as for you, my first visit to Taiwan, and I must say I'm very impressed what I saw so far, and I had a chance to see the National Palace Museum, the Longshan Temple. I saw the, how it's called, the Skyscraper 101. I resisted though to try to climb on it, but what I did do was jogging this morning along the river, and I thought for somebody who does this regularly, it's a beautiful running track there and a very attractive city. So thank you for this. Germany and Taiwan have very good relations within the European Union. I think we are the #1 trading partner. We have, and I had also when I was diplomatic advisor to the Chancellor, very close relation to the fantastic representative delegates that Taiwan had and has in Berlin. I think I share I share the view that the previous speakers had about Taiwan. Taiwan and Germany are old nations, but fairly young countries, and we do share the values of democracy, of free market economy, vivid civil society, and I think this is something that we share. And I would like to continue a bit what you said earlier about the rule of law. The first German chancellor, the older generation may remember the name, Konrad Adenauer, always said the most important for us is the rule of law. And we have a very solid constitution, and within the European Union, it's an organization that is based on the rule of law. For decades, in the European Union, when we had a conflict, we went to war. Today, when there's a conflict, we go to Brussels or we go to Luxembourg, to the European Court of Justice. And this is something that we have always supported also on a global level. That is the rule of law. We are strong supporters of the UN Charter, of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and we believe that international relations should continue to be based on the rule of law. And there we have, I think, to face reality that we have quite a number of challenges. And also when you look at Asia, we also face a lot of trouble, talking about human rights. I think when you look at Myanmar, for instance, you see maybe the gravest violation of human rights, where also the International Court of the International Criminal Court looks at accusation of genocide. But we also have to admit that the People's Republic of China is also a country that is violating international law. We see it, from my perspective, even increasing when you look at the South China Sea. We see that there is a continuous violation of the law of the sea, the ignoring by the People's Republic of China of the ruling of the Court of Arbitration on a certain area in the South China Sea. We see with regard to Hong Kong that the promise it would be one country, two systems has changed into one country, one system. And we see also with regard to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the High Commissioner for Human Rights of the United Nations has said that there is a good chance that there is genocide in China, in the people who are China with regard to the Uyghurs. And when you ask your neighbors in Japan, they'll also tell you that China is continuously violating airspace, territorial waters, and there are also international law. And when it comes to Taiwan, you're faced with a continuous coercion from China with regard also to the threats of the use of force, the intrusion of waters, of airspace in an aggressive way. So we are faced, I think, with this situation, and this is in particular for your country, the challenge that you face, and the question is, how do we get out of there? And I believe that what the founding fathers and mothers of also the European countries being represented here, Winston Churchill was among the founders of the UN, of European integration. It's the rule of law, and I think we shouldn't give up. And I think what we should do, countries like Taiwan and Germany, Taiwan, and all the countries represented here, work closer together, build something like an alliance for multilateralism, where we defend the rule of law and the foundation, the UN Charter, and don't go into a system where we don't have the rule of law, but the law of the strongest. Thank you.
非常的感谢台湾这一次呢邀请我来到玉山论坛，然后感谢这边台湾人民的盛情款待。那这也是我第一次来到台湾，此行让我印象深刻，所以我之前早先有去了故宫一趟，然后去龙山寺走一走，然后还去台北101。那当然我没有爬上去，但是我在101旁边的地方呢有稍微慢跑一下，然后沿着河滨，所以整个跑道真的非常漂亮。然后台北真的是一座很棒的城市。那么就到台德双边的关系来讲，其实双边的一个关系非常的稳固。那以欧盟而言，德国应该就是台湾第一大的贸易伙伴。那之前呢，我担任这个相关的外交的一个顾问的时候，其实跟柏林这边台湾的这一些贸易的代表也有所接触，然后其实相关的同仁都非常的优秀。那台德双边呢，其实共享许多的一个价值，包括了民主、自由市场经济，然后还有公民社会等等。那我想要延续刚刚上一位爵士福克斯爵士阁下的这一个提到这个法治的这个议题，所以其实法治非常的重要。它也呢是我们这个德国第一任的这个总理所提出来的，这个法治真的是最重要的一件事情。那其实以整个欧盟来说，我们有相关的宪法，那也因为这样子有了法治，所以呢一向出现各种争端的时候，我们就会去到布鲁塞尔，去到整个呢欧盟的这个法庭来做相关的这一个争议的一个解决。那当然也包括了整个联合国的章程、联合国宪章，然后世界人权宣言等等，这些都是非常的重要。所以如果回头我们看到亚洲的部分，亚洲面临各项的挑战，包括了像是缅甸有所谓的这个违反人权的议题，然后国际的这个刑法的国际刑法的法庭甚至指出有所谓的这个种族灭绝，然后种族谋杀的这样子的议题的存在。然后呢，甚至在这个中共的部分一直去违反相关的国际法等等。南海地区也有相关的一个趋势的一个发展，像是包括了领海啊，然后呢海域等等，我们都看到中共在那边的作为。甚至以整个香港为例，当时保证要所谓的这个一国两制，可是现在却是一国一制的一个做法。那所以还有相关的这个联合国的这个人权的一个主席也指出说，现在很有可能正在发生所谓的种族灭绝的情况。然后以日本的立场而言，日本也会跟大家提出，中国一直在去违反相关的领空、领海等等相关的这个规章。所以当然回到台湾来说，面临到中国许多的胁迫，甚至可能中方会威胁要动武来入侵台湾的这个领空，还有呢海域等等。那这样子就是我们目前在台湾所面临到的情况。所以重点就是要怎么样去应对，怎么样能够脱身。那我认为呢，最重要的事情当然就是还是要回归到法治的这个部分。所以呢我相信台湾还有所有呢德国以及今天来参与论坛所有的一个国家，应该要去团结一心，然后呢一同打造一个像是同盟的感觉，善用多边主义来捍卫法治。谢谢。
Thank you, Ambassador Heusgen. Now I would like to ask Dr. Karaman to share his thoughts, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's for me the second time to be in this beautiful country of Taiwan. The last time I was here, it was in November 2024. It was with a delegation of 10 members of parliament of the House of Representatives. Probably the biggest delegation, political delegation visiting Taiwan from Europe. But our ties go a long way, because in the 17th century, of course, we had the VOC who had an outpost here in Formosa. So our history, shared history, goes a long way. And that's also what you see currently. We have strong relationships with Taiwan. If you look to Taiwan, the biggest company of Asia is a Taiwanese company, TSMC. And you know, the biggest company in Europe is a Dutch company, ASML. And both are strong partners in the semiconductors world. Without these two companies, I think the world would be, the prosperity in the world would not be where it is now. So we have strong ties economically, because we share a lot. Even I think TSMC was founded together also with Philips, and other Dutch companies. So our ties are really strong, economic ties also. And we wanted to come with a big delegation the last time we were here as the House of Representatives. So for us, Taiwan is really important, because we also share, I think, the same values. My colleagues talked also about values, democracy, rule of law, and that's why it brought us so much prosperity, the Dutch people, but also I think the Taiwanese people, is because we share the same values, and we invest in our people. I think that's something why we are leading the semiconductors world together, the Netherlands and the Taiwanese. So for us, it's normal that we're friends of Taiwan, are friends, and will be the friends of Taiwan also in the future. So I think there's no issue. Also in Parliament, we had a lot of debates about how could we also get Taiwan participate in international organizations like WTO, the WHO, because we think they have the right to be part of those international organizations. So I'm open for questions afterwards. Thank you very much.
大家午安，这一次是我第2次来到台湾这座宝岛。那上一次的时候是2024年11月，当时候是荷兰的这个众议院总共10位成员的这个访团，然后呢来到了台湾，那也算是呢最大的来到台湾的这个欧洲的访团。那当然，其实台荷之间的关联可以远溯到整个17世纪，当时候有所谓的福尔摩沙的一个部分，所以其实我们台荷之间共享这个历史渊源的一个的一个关系。那回到现在的话，其实台荷双边的关系非常的稳固，所以以这个半导体为例的话，在亚洲最大的国家当然可想而知就是台积电，那么在欧洲呢最大的国家只是荷兰的 ASML 艾斯摩尔，那所以呢这2间公司都是在半导体方面非常强韧的一个伙伴。那我也相信如果没有台积电，没有 ASML， 那这样子的话势必是没有办法创造出当前我们所享有的这个繁荣的一个景象。那所以简言之，台荷双边经济的关系非常的一个稳固，甚至台积电可能也跟飞利浦有在相关的一个对谈。那回到整个共享价值的部分呢，台湾对于荷兰来说非常重要，因为我们双边共享了民主、然后法治等等的一个价值。那也因为这样子才能够创造我们双边2个国家非常棒的一个繁荣的一个景象。很重要的事情是我们也投资了自己的人民。所以呢，我认为我们当前台荷是非常棒的一个朋友。那未来荷兰也会继续站在台湾身边，跟台湾当好朋友。那以国会来说，其实在荷兰的这个国会一直在讨论如何去支持台湾参与相关的一个国际组织，比如说世界贸易组织、世界卫生组织等等。因为呢，台湾应该是有这样子的权利参与国际组织的。那稍后我也非常乐意回答各位的问题，谢谢。
Thank you so much, Mr. Karaman. Thanks for your kind words. So now I would like to give the floor to Mr. O'Toole. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Like so many of the guests, it's my first time in Taiwan, and I want to thank Ministry of Foreign Affairs and my hosts for being such wonderful hosts. I got to see the treasures in the museum yesterday, but I found the real treasure of Taiwan is the people, and you see that here today. The conference is very interesting, and I'm going to use the themes of the conference to share my reflections at the stage of Canada-Taiwan relations to important friends, allies, and the values, technology, and resilience theme of this conference is perfect because on values, Taiwan and Canada are aligned, and we've both encountered challenges from other countries that don't share those values. When I was the Conservative leader in Canada and running to be Prime Minister in 2021, China interfered in our election in Canada. We had a judicial inquiry investigating the extent of that interference. So I can only imagine the level of interference and pressure that our friends here face, and that was part of the reason I wanted to come. Even today in our panel sessions, some of the discussions about misinformation, disinformation, foreign interference, these are things that I think Western democracies throughout the Indo-Pacific have to share as we build more resilient democracies that can withstand attacks by foreign influence or by foreign influenced algorithms to erode the trust in our institutions and our democracies. The second theme, technology, is something that Canada and Taiwan are already partnering on, and I hope that we can do far more of it. We recently signed a science, technology, and innovation agreement between the two countries because as the leader in semiconductors, as Taiwan is, Canada really was one of the first leaders in AI. We have 3 prominent Canadians that are all winners of the Turing Award, including Nobel laureate Geoffrey Hinton at the University of Toronto, Yoshua Bengio in Montreal, running the Mila Center, and Richard Sutton at the University of Alberta, all cluster and world leaders in AI development. Canada is also a leader in the development of quantum computing. The 2/3, or 1/3 rather, of the global quantum workforce today was either educated or worked in Canada. So that, and combined with our strength in critical minerals as some of the rare earths and early building blocks of that supply chain, mean that our countries need and can do more together for global supply chains, for AI, for technology, and in sovereign capability for our various countries. The final thing is resilience. And I think Prime Minister Carney, earlier this year at his speech at Davos, talked about the rupture in the international rules-based system and the traditional post-World War II order. Countries like Canada, middle countries with great potential, need to partner with other great middle countries like Taiwan to not only reduce some of our reliance on the United States as it becomes more isolationist, as it favors tariffs and somewhat incoherent economic policy. We need, as a country that has traditionally sent 70% of our exports to the United States, we need to build deeper and stronger relationships in the Indo-Pacific. And what a more perfect gateway than to leverage that common values, common technology that we can with Taiwan. So I know right now there's an agreement on economic cooperation between Canada and Taiwan that is literally awaiting signature. It was negotiated at the tail end of the time of Prime Minister Trudeau, and now we have Prime Minister Carney. I think his government will be looking at ratifying that agreement and deepening the relationship between our two countries. It's been a pleasure being here, and thank you for your attention.
各位午安，那其实这一次也是我第一次来到台湾，所以非常的感谢外交部，然后相关同仁的一个鼎力的一个安排，让我收到盛情的款待。我也到了博物馆参访，看到许多很漂亮的这一个珍藏，让我呢印象深刻。但我觉得台湾最大的宝藏只是台湾的人才人民。那我想要借着这一次的这个论坛的一个主题来稍微分享一下我的看法。所以其实这一次的话，重点谈到了台湾的价值、科技还有韧性等等这三大的支柱。那其实台加的关系呢，一直都是非常坚实的友人，然后还有盟友。那当然我们也共同面临一些相关的挑战，比如说之前我担任这个加拿大保守党党魁，然后竞选2021年竞选这个总理的时候呢，当时候就面临到了这个中国的一个侵扰的一个议题等等，所以我可想而知，台湾一定面临到了更严重的一个相关的一个入侵、干扰还有压力等等。那也是因此，我想要在这样子的时刻来到台湾。而甚至在我们稍早的这个焦点对谈当中，我们也去谈到了所谓的这个错假讯息，还有外国势力介入等等相关的议题。那这都是非常重要的一个议题。所以我认为说，整个西方世界的一个民主阵营呢，特别是印太地区的这个民主阵营，必须要团结一心，然后来打造更加具有韧性的一个民主的一个制度。那特别在面临到所谓的这个外国的介入等等，还有外国的整个演算法等等，我们也要有所的去因应。那再来我们谈到这个科技的这个面向，则是说台湾跟加拿大在科技方面已经有了很棒的一个科技的合作。那我也希望未来可以深化，比如说我们目前已经呢有相关的这一个台加双边的这个科学科技创新的一个协议，已经呢就是正在做了。而半导体方面，台湾当然是一个领导地位、领头羊，但是加拿大则是在人工智慧方面扮演一个领头羊的角色。比如说以这个图灵奖来说，其实就有3个非常优秀的一个加拿大人士获得图灵奖，然后呢，就是包括了这一个诺贝尔物理学奖得主 AI 教父 Hinton， 他也是得奖者之一。而如果在量子运算的部分的话呢，全球大概有1/3的这个量子运算领域的人才，都是呢在加拿大受教育或者是效力在加拿大去服务在那边工作。那所以因此在这样的背景之下，我认为我们要打造更兼具韧性的一个全球的一个相关的 AI， 然后还有科技的一个供应链。而再来呢，提到韧性的一个部分，其实卡尼总理他之前在 Davos 就有提到说，国际的一个秩序呢有破裂的情况，然后呢，我们现在面临到整个2战之后世界秩序正在面临一个严峻的挑战。那所以在这样子的状况当中，我认为像是我们这样中型的国家，加拿大、台湾等等，就必须要有更紧密的一个合作的关系，那这样子才能够去释放我们更多的潜能，然后降低呢对于美国的一个依赖，因为我们知道美国现在比较走向一个独立，然后呢采用关税，然后整个经济的一个制度呢还有政策是比较不稳定的局势，所以传统上加拿大有70%的出口都是销往美国，那我们现在重点要让整个印太地区在加拿大经济当中扮演更重要的地位，因为我们共享了相关的价值还有科技，所以经济合作当然在整个台加的这个经济合作的这个相关协议方面呢，就我所知目前是稍等最后一个签署的环节。那这个经济合作的这个协议是在之前的 Trudeau 的一个他的任内当中去做协商。那目前呢，应该就是等待最后的一个签署。那假使能够成功的一个完成签署的话，也会深化我们双边的合作。非常的感谢各位。
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Toole. Now I'm honored to ask Mr. Lipovsky to deliver his remarks. Please.
Thank you very much. I'm gladly joining. Big thanks for invitation to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. It's my first time in Taiwan and I have arrived this morning, so I've not much to share, but I will spend the whole week here and definitely I will share my impressions on social media, but my plans are quite similar to what we could hear. And I would like to say a few words about the Czech-Taiwanese relationship, because this is a really nice example how two countries can cooperate not only on the business sphere but also in a sphere of cultural and technological cooperation. Government in which I served between years 21 and 2025, we had this sentence that we want to develop cooperation with democratic partners in the Indo-Pacific region, and one of the listed partners was also Taiwan. And it really paid off because in last year it was almost $2 billion the turnover between our two countries. We are the biggest trading partner in Central and Eastern Europe. Taiwanese companies are creating tens of thousands of jobs in Prague, in Czechia in general. And it's focused on semiconductors industry and on those really thriving industries. And it's not all about business. We have a direct flight, or the Prague Zoo was donated a pangolin animal and even able to breed, the next generation, which is unique. So there is a real depth to this relationship, and it's enabled mostly by the parliamentary diplomacy and by the multiple visits of the head figures of those which makes this relationship to be enabled. So this is a sneak peek into thriving Czech-Taiwanese relationship, which is very cordial. This evening I will be speaking about different topics. I will be speaking about geopolitics. I will be speaking about war which is going on in Europe, about war which is going on in Middle East, and about the interconnectedness of security in today's global world, and what the new technologies mean for that, and what are the challenges for Taiwan and European partners, for example, like Czechia. So thank you very much for having me here, and the conference is an amazing place, and I'm looking forward to discover more of Taiwan. Thank you very much.
首先，一样非常谢谢外交部的一个邀请。那其实我今天早上才刚到台湾，所以还没有办法看到台湾太多的一个地方。如果回到这个台捷双边的一个关系当中，其实我认为台捷关系就是一个很棒的一个例子。然后看到说，其实两个国家可以在整个商业、文化、科技方面都有很紧密的合作。那我之前2021年到2025年效力在政府的时候，当时候去聚焦在拓展外交的部分，然后呢，整个印太地区国际的伙伴等等。那台湾其实就是我们的一个列在清单当中的一个国家之一。而在去年呢，其实我们双边的这个贸易是达到了这个20亿的一个美元。那这样子的话，其实就可以说整个捷克就是台湾在中东欧地区最大的一个贸易伙伴。那台湾为捷克创造出数千个工作机会，大部分在半导体的一个产业，而特别是在整个就是布拉格的一个动物园方面呢，也有相关的，就是台湾有去做相关的这一个动物的一个捐赠，然后培育等等下一代等等，所以这方面有很多的一个合作。所以当然在整个地缘政治，然后呢欧洲的战火、中东战火等等局势底下，都让我们看到说，其实全球都是紧密串联在一起的。那所以在这个部分，也是我今天前来这个论坛的一个原因。那非常感谢这一次有机会能够来到台湾，那我也很期待再次去探索台湾的各个美好之处。谢谢。
All right, thank you, Mr. Lipovsky. I think once again, I want to say thank you to all of you for your comments and insights. And I believe later on, our friends from the media will have a lot of questions for you. So right now, we will open the floor to the questions from our media friends. So please raise your hand and tell us your name and the media outlets you work with before asking your questions.
Thank you. I'm Julie from Thai Southeast in digital media outlets in Taiwan. And my question is for Mr. Otto. As you mentioned, Taiwan and Canada has originally planned to sign a trade cooperation framework agreement. However, after the current government took office, the process appears to have stalled. According to some news or reports, at least may be related to pressures from China. So could you share your perspective on this situation or any understanding you may have about of this situation? Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. Obviously, I don't speak for the government, but I will say this. I don't think it has stalled. The last year in Canadian politics has been a dramatic. We saw Mr. Trudeau a little over a year ago announce he was leaving. Mr. Carney, who was not in our parliament, he was in the private sector after being central banker in Canada and the United Kingdom. He ran to lead the party. He was prime minister for 10 days, and then he called an election. So we've had a year of a lot of change and upheaval in Canadian politics, and we've also had a year of President Trump, which has been economic upheaval and has really been the priority. So my sense from the people I still speak with in the government and in Parliament is that there's still a desire to finalize that agreement in terms of signatures and execution. Perhaps there is a chance this spring at APEC and at some of the multilateral forum where we can have some bilateral discussions. And certainly it will be my intention to relay to the government after this forum that there's a real desire to make sure that we proceed with that collaboration, that cooperation agreement, and more bilateral engagement between our countries.
非常谢谢您的提问。那其实当然我没有办法代替我们加拿大的政府来发言，但是就我所知呢，我的观点认为说，我们这一个台加的相关这个经济协议呢，其实并没有有这个停滞的一个状况。因为其实请各方理解，因为去年呢，整个加拿大的政界可以说是历经了非常戏剧性的一个转变，也就是 Trudeau 宣布了要下台等等，然后卡尼上任之后，他本来是在整个英国的这个中央银行等等，然后私部门的领域，可是他后来才转往了担任就是出任我们家国的一个首相、总理等等。那这样子的话呢，其实现在还面临到了所谓川普在经济方面整个颠覆的一个作为。那这样子的话呢，整个过去1年来，其实局势变化非常的大，所以其实并没有所谓停滞的状况。那就我认为，其实加拿大的政府是非常希望可以呢去签署，然后执行这一个台加的这一个合作的经济协议。那或许呢，在今年的春天等等，有一些多边主义，然后多国的这个论坛当中，我们台加可以进行双边的讨论。那这样子的话，来增进呢相关的一个交流，然后呢继续促进双边的一个合作。谢谢。
来。
谢谢发言人 Thank you so much. I'm Silva Shi with Taiwan's Commonwealth magazine. So my question is to European counterparts. So we have 2 wars right now. One is in Ukraine, the other one is in Middle East. I'm just wondering, in such a scenario of multiple simultaneous crises, how realistic is it for your country to play an important role in maintaining the stability of the the Taiwan Strait? Thanks.
Regarding this question, can we just ask Ambassador Hoiskamp and Mr. Lipovsky and also Mr. Karaman to share your comments? Thank you.
I think you're right. When you look at the public attention, the eyes are on worldwide right now on the war against Iran. We continue to be confronted with Russia's aggression at Ukraine. But also from what the European colleagues here said earlier, and when you follow European policy, this does not mean that the interest in Asia is diminished. I can say also from the German perspective, it was last year or the year before that for the first time we actually sent a German frigate through the Taiwan Strait to make the point that this is international waters, and we have been following developments very closely, and we look at the challenges that our rules-based order, on which I discussed earlier, how much that is also endangered here in Asia. But it's true, of course, when you read an ordinary newspaper in Europe right now, Iran war, Ukraine war are on the top of the agenda.
所以呢，非常谢谢您的提问。您刚刚提到了美伊，然后呢，还有这个俄乌战争，当然是大家重视的这个议题。那当然呢，整个欧盟的这个相关的同袍，然后等等，去指出了相关的一个作为。可是我认为说，并不代表说整个欧洲对于亚洲的一个关注度就下降了，这并不是现在正在发生的事情。比如说，2024年的时候，当时候德国就首次了派遣相关的这个巡防舰，然后穿越台海，这样子的话来告诉大家说，台海是一个国际的这个海域等等，那这就是非常重要的这个作为，也非常谢谢您的提问。
Mr. Karaman, please.
Yeah, thank you. Extending on my neighbor is, we also sent a frigate through the Strait of Taiwan. I think it was in 2024, and probably this year there will be another frigate through the Strait of Taiwan, because we are a nation of trade. We have the biggest port with Rotterdam, so a lot of the trade of Asia comes to the port of Rotterdam for Europe. So, and we talked about the law of the sea. It was a Dutch guy who initiated the law of the sea, so we are really advocating a lot for the law of the sea. The last time our frigate came here also was they went first to the Red Sea, because there were also some troubles with the trade, through the Strait of the Red Sea. And now, so we are really advocating for free trade. So we will send, and I think we discussed in Parliament that each 2 years there will be a frigate coming over to Asia and doing exercises, so going to the east. And we have a history, of course, what I already mentioned with Asia. So, and Ukraine is really a war what's on the soil of Europe. The Dutch are contributing a lot of money, but also a lot of military aid to Ukraine. I think we are in the top 5 in the world in contribution to Ukraine. We also gave them all our F-16s fire planes, because we are switching to the F-35. So I think we gave them 26 of our F-16s who were left. So we are contributing a lot to the war in Ukraine, because we see it as Ukraine cannot prevail, because that will be maybe an example for the world that tyranny can invade a country and get away with it. So we made probably a mistake in 2014 by not showing up when he seized Crimea. So, yeah, we are a land of law-based. We have the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice in The Hague. So we are always promoting international law in that way also.
非常谢谢您的提问。那其实我们这边的话，荷兰在2024年也有派遣巡防舰来到台海。那我相信今年应该也会有。因为我们也要知道，其实荷兰拥有非常大的港口，也就是鹿特丹。基本上亚洲的这一个要销往欧洲的话，都是会先运抵鹿特丹的这个港口。所以其实荷兰非常重视整个在海洋方面的这一个法治等等。那就我所知，上一次的话有巡防舰，我们巡防舰来到台湾的时候，当时候也有去到所谓的红海。因为红海那边也面临到了贸易相关的问题，所以总言之，其实荷兰非常重视自由贸易的这个价值。那我相信大概每两年的话，就会有所谓的巡防舰可能会从荷兰然后来到了亚洲等等。那当然呢，刚刚所提到的这个俄乌战争的问题，乌克兰俄乌战争它就是在这个欧盟的土地上面正在发生的事情。那基本上其实荷兰投入了大量的资金还有军援去帮助乌克兰，我们大概是全球整个贡献度排名前5的国家之一。那就我所知，我们总共提供乌克兰有26架的这个 F-16战机，那我们现在准备荷兰是要转往使用 F-35战机，所以总之，荷兰对于整个俄乌战争去帮助乌克兰的部分做出非常长足的一个贡献。那其实在荷兰境内也有呢所谓的这个国际的刑法法庭，然后呢国际的这个正义的法庭等等，所以其实我们非常的遵守所谓相关的这个法治的一个制度。谢谢。
Thank you. Mr. Lipovsky, please.
So Czechia is landlocked country, so no frigates. But we fully support the freedom of navigation, of course. And with your question, you basically touched one of my final points from my today's speech, which I will have at the dinner. And that's if the aggressor is allowed to violate international law, and his aggression would be paid with some results, that would send a very strong signal also to Indo-Pacific and to Asia that this action can happen. And I think it's clear that I'm speaking about the Chinese ambition to change the status quo with Taiwan. So this is where really the thesis that the security of those regions is interconnected is valid, and therefore it is our mutual task for the good results. And I feel that many Asian or Indo-Pacific countries, including Taiwan, are understanding that and trying to do actions according to that. Speaking of cooperation in different security domains, especially in relation to the security of Europe. And there are also good examples from Europe that standing up to big, strong country is possible. And maybe I should speak openly about Donald Trump's attempt to control Greenland, which was deflected by Denmark and by common European stance and by the clear resolve that it will not happen. And that action on the side of the European countries was taken, and then even the USA has to understand that this is a no-go. So I think this is also a good example, for example, for Taiwan, that if you keep your resolution to be independent, democratic place, that it may happen. But you know, the resolution needs to be done. Thank you.
首先，其实捷克是一个内陆的国家，所以我们没有巡防舰，但是我们非常支持整个自由航行权等等，所以我们必须展现出来，如果有任何违反整个国际法律的部分，那必须要去做出相应的代价。所以像是亚太地区就是一个重点，我们也看到整个中国有雄心壮志，想要去改变整个台海的一个现状。那在的这样子的背景都显示出来，其实在国安安全的部分，整个世界都是紧密相依的，那我们也要有肩负起共同的一个任务来捍卫我们的一个价值等等，所以印太的国家非常的重要。那如果谈到这一个就是欧盟国安合作的部分，这也是非常重要的一个要点，也是一个很棒的例子。从这个俄乌战争，我们看到说，其实去挺身而出来对抗很大的一个强权，这样子的作为是我们有可能做到的。所以当然，针对所谓川普总统格陵兰的这个言论，或许我们也应该要去公开的指出，其实川普这样子一番的这一个报复，要来拿下格陵兰等等，那其实遭到了包括丹麦，然后欧盟各国等等的一个坚决立场的一个反对。所以或许台湾也要展现出这样子的决心，希望的展现出来说，我们有决心要做一个独立的民主国家。那也许未来有一天真的就能够成功的迎刃而解，然后成功达到。那重点就是决心必须要展现出来。谢谢。
Thank you so much, Mr. Lipovsky. 所以在座还有Taiwan Plus.
Hi, my name is Cadence. I'm with Taiwan Plus. My question is for Mr. Chaudhry. You said that you think Fiji should give recognition to Taiwan as a developing partner, and I'm wondering if Fiji's current government shares your thoughts about expanding cooperation with Taiwan, and more generally what their current view of relations with Taiwan is and the future of relations with Taiwan. Do you see the potential for Taiwan-Fiji relations to strengthen in the coming years, and what does that mean for Fiji's relations with China? Thanks.
Thank you. The current government is very close to China, so I cannot say anything more than that. I don't see any hope of them extending more engagement with Taiwan and giving it even recognition as a development partner. Unfortunately, China has a hold over our current government, and that is likely to continue. Thankfully, we have an election coming soon, and we hope that there is a change that we'll be able to do something about that.
所以其实因为当前的斐济政府跟中方非常的关系密切，所以我也不方便多说太多。那目前应该没有太大的希望能够增进台湾跟斐济双边的一个关联。那就算说我们有就是说到所谓的台湾是一个开发伙伴等等，那也许要静待稍后的斐济的一个选举来看看是否能够有所改变。
Thank you so much, sir. 还有其他的问题吗？中央社。
Hi, I'm Charlie Young at Central News Agency, and my questions are addressed to Sir Fox. And I have two questions. The first one is about the three key pillars of ETP we signed last June. What should Taiwan do to facilitate or to fasten the negotiations, or to even achieve, hopefully, an agreement in the future? And the second question is about CPTPP. As the newest member of CPTPP, what do you make of the fact that Taiwan still hasn't been approved of setting up a session working group, even though that we've met most of the awkward principles? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Again, I can't speak for the British government. I'm not the British government. In fact, I'm about as far from the British government as politically it's possible to be. International events have been very busy in recent times, and the government's been very busy dealing with its own incompetences in Britain. So I imagine it's simply just the normal bureaucratic processes going forward. I don't imagine there's any actual hindrance or material reason for that not going forward. It is such a good idea. And it takes a trade agreement into a whole new arena. So I think it's a win-win on either side. I can't even think that the current government wouldn't see that. Secondly, on CPTPP, I think it is such a tremendous idea at a time when free trade is on the back foot, that we've got something like CPTPP there and expanding and moving forward. I've always believed, I began Britain's negotiation over that, and I always saw it as a strategic counterbalance to China. Currently, CPTPP is about 16% of global GDP. If you see accession of countries like Indonesia, maybe even UAE, what the sort of things being talked about, but you can easily see CPTPP having a bigger share of global GDP than China, and therefore being quite an effective counterweight. If you're going to have that, and you're going to have a club, an organization like that, then it needs to be open to those who fulfill all the criteria for membership. And I think that if it's designed to be a counterbalance to Chinese influence, then you can't allow China to determine its membership.
那么首先我也要再次声明，因为我没有办法为英国政府来发言，我对于英国的政界可以说是有点距离咯。那可是以这个就是这个三大资助协议、台英资助协议的这个部分，其实我认为有这样贸易协议是一个就是双赢的这个局面。那如果是在 CPTPP 的部分，我认为这样子的想法真的是非常重要、很美好，而且它是重点是带出所谓自由贸易的这个价值。而且我也认为，其实 CPTPP 这样子的一个组织，然后这样子的一个机制是可以有助于去与中国做到一个势均力敌，然后做到一个平衡、重新平衡的一个战略性的一个很重要的一个要点。那假设说现在我们目前所知 CPTPP 大概占全球 GDP 16%，那如果也许纳入更多国家的话，整个 GDP 的占比甚至能够超过中国。所以对于与中国能取得一个平衡来说 ，CPTPP 扮演一个很重要的角色。谢谢。
Thank you. 在座的媒体朋友还有其他的提问吗？ Yes, please.
I had another question. I was wondering, one of the primary threats to Taiwan's international presence is China's efforts to poach and pressure its diplomatic allies. And we've heard a lot of calls today about the need for like-minded democracies to work together. And I'm wondering what you think are the most important ways that your countries and other like-minded democracies can help Taiwan maintain its remaining diplomatic allies.
你的问题你要请谁回答呢？都可以。Okay. So, anyone wants to share your comments about this question? Mr. O'Toole,
Well, it's a great question, and I think channeling Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, trying to have middle powers do more together means not allowing China to isolate Taiwan out of international collaboration. If we need to encourage multilateralism in a world that, as Liam is saying, is stepping back from free trade, stepping back from the rules-based order, the countries that are committed to multilateralism and to order and to security should not let one of their friends and allies be excluded. So we've seen a pattern of that by China for many years, WHO, ICAO, organizations where it would only help to have proper representation from Taiwan. I think that's something that countries can push for on an individual basis and not allow that pressure, that economic pressure, that isolation that China really does to hold Taiwan back. So I hope to see Canada commit to that. Thank you.
那么其实卡尼总理就提到说，整个中型的国家必须要去一同合作，那这样子才能够有效的去对抗中国，让中国不去让一些国家能够不会让他们去独立，然后不会让他们去孤独，然后呢让他们无法参与相关的国际合作。所以其实我认为说，整个多边主义，然后自由贸易，然后还有以规则为基础的秩序非常的重要，也因此相信这样子信念的所有的一些盟邦盟友都应该要一同合作，这样子才能够让去确保说不会有任何一个国家被排除在这个国际合作的框架之外。而其实多年来我们看到中方一直面对台湾在整个 WHO 或是国际民航组织等等的这个代表的一个部分，都是采取一些作为。那我认为说，其实各国应该可以以各自的一个方法来去采取一些相应的行动，这样子呢去不会让这种所谓经济上面的压力，还有中国意图去孤立各国的这个方法，不会让他们得逞，然后呢不会让这样子的举措去牵制台湾。谢谢。
Mr. Lipovsky, would you make sure your views on this issue?
Yes, this is really difficult question, and I think the Taiwanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs and all the politicians are asking that basically daily, and I don't see any clear and simple answer to that. We have seen many different ways how to approach that matter. In my eyes, in the example of Czech-Taiwanese cooperation, it is the practical foundation of that relationship. It is the number of investment, it is the economic development, it is people-to-people context, it is public diplomacy which is very active and which creates this cordial relationship, from having animals in a zoo, pangolins, towards open direct flights, towards tens of thousands created jobs and development also of the Czech businesses here in Taipei, and this is not only driven by the offices on both sides, but also by the parliamentary diplomacy, which I think was really the major change in the mood of the relationship. And it's not easy though, because it's the parliamentary diplomacy. It's not the connection. It's not the proper connection on the diplomatic level. But we know the consequences of that. So it is complicated, dense to say so. But definitely, once the foundation, as I listed here, is there, it pays off, and it requires extraordinary attention to that relationship.
其实这个问题非常的困难。那之前我在担任外长的期间，也是每天都在思考相关问题，但我没有办法给出一个清楚的一个答案，因为非常复杂。可是我认为在台捷双边的部分，其实交流非常密切，包括经济发展、人与人的交流，还有国会外交等等，这些种种的要素，打造了台捷双边非常友好的一个关系。那当然也包括了整个台湾穿山甲宝宝，然后来到了布拉格动物园，然后还有台湾跟捷克的这个直航，然后台湾创造过非常多的数以千计工作机会等等。那这样子的话，其实背后都是由各个双边的努力、双边的这个单位一起合作来去驱动这样子的一个发展。所以整体来说，整个局势非常的复杂，所以我们也要投以更高的一个密切的关注。可是整体而言，这是一个困难无法简单回答的问题。谢谢。
Thank you so much. Any questions? 舒华。
谢谢发言人 Thank you so much for my second question. So my second question goes to British, German, and Canadian guests. So my question is, I've understand that recently Taiwan has strengthened the economic and political relationship with 3 of your countries, but at the same time, we've seen that your country has resumed high-level talks with China. I'm wondering, what's your take on that? Do you think it's a sustainable approach of this dual-track talks, or I'm just wondering your overall takes on that? Thanks.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to have both improved relations with Taiwan, particularly in the trading environment, but also to maintain as cordial relations as circumstances allow with China. We are living in an extraordinarily difficult period at the present time, and I think we have a duty to try to maintain as much stability as we can. And with China, I think that we have to always recognise that China, as I've often said in the UK, it's not Russia in the Cold War. China is both a major economic player and a major security risk simultaneously, and it requires a subtle and somewhat complex approach to deal with it. But the idea that because Taiwan is an ally, we shouldn't speak to China, I think is unrealistic.
所以其实重点在于说跟台湾，然后还有中国两方之间都一直维持一个关系。那因为现在我们面临到整个历史当中的一个难关，我认为我们有责任必须要维持现在国际的一个稳定。那当然以中国而言的话，其实中国已经不是像是冷战时期的一个恶国了。因为中国它一方面扮演了一个很重要的经济的一个角色，但一方面又是一个国际在国安上面很大的一个风险，所以势必对于中国议题必须要采取比较复杂的一个做法。可是我认为说如果为了跟台湾的一个关联，然后而去完全摒弃掉与中方的一个对谈，那这样子的做法是比较不切实际。
I agree with what you said, but let me add one point. When you look at at least from the German perspective, the trade relations in particular with regard to the People's Republic of China, we had during the first 20 years of this century this trend going upward all the time. Now we see that for several reasons, demographic reasons in China, the strengthening the lower growth rate in China, strengthening of, or from my expectation at least, the strengthening of subsidies for Chinese exports. Trade with China and investment is getting in difficult waters, and when you also see how the challenges are with our US friends, with almost daily changes in their tariff policy, we are in Germany, and I'm personally really advocating this, is a stronger diversification. So not concentrate too much on what for Germany and for the European Union, I think to a large degree have been the most important trading partners, US and people of China, but diversify. And there, Taiwan is a natural partner where I think we should pay more attention to, do more like our friends from the Netherlands have done, more delegations there, explore where more can be done. Yes, with regard to semiconductors, the Netherlands and Taiwan are working very closely together, but so do we. And we have expanded that over time. So I think that, yes, to a degree, we cannot ignore people from China, but we have to diversify and have to engage more with Taiwan. And I think your delegations, at least the one we have in Berlin, but I know it from others, are very well placed to also promote this relationship. And I think all your trade offices do a very important job. It's challenging at times, but I think this is something that you should pursue and we should pursue.
那其实我非常同意刚刚请一位讲者的说法，那我稍微再补充一下，也就是说，整个德国的部分当然跟中国有非常紧密的贸易的这个交流，然后呢，整个21世纪的前20年来，也就是2000到2020年这段期间的话，其实整个贸易式的一个状况，然后成长都是不断的在上升，中国都一直在成长当中。但是近年来的话，则是因为中国国内的这个人口的问题，然后呢等等，对于整个出口的补助有所减少等等的一些要素，所以在中国的一些贸易还有投资等等，也是面临了一些难关。那特别呢，我们现在以德国而言，也是面临到整个美国部分，他们每天可能都有不断改变的这一个关税的这一个政策等等。所以我认为最重要的事情就是要做到所谓的多样化，也就是说不能够只专注在整个，比如说中国也好，或是某个国家也好，重点就是要让整个贸易还有经济是能够打造多样化的一个布局。那这样子，台湾当然在这样子的一个信念当中，是一个自然而然非常棒的一个坚实的一个伙伴。所以我认为说我们也要给台湾更多的一个关注。其实荷兰刚刚提到说，有相关访团来到台湾，我认为这个做法非常棒。那当然，其实台德双边在半导体部分也有非常紧密的一个合作，且不断的增进、不断的扩大当中。可是总言之，我们不能够去忽略掉中国在世界当中所扮演的这个地位。那最后的话，其实回到整个的台湾在柏林方面的这个贸易的这个办事处或者是代表等等，其实他们也都肩负重任，能够更有效的去推广，然后加深双边的这一个关系，来应对现在充满挑战的一个时局。那我们必须一同去追求这样子未来的一个发展。谢谢。
I would agree with my colleagues and just add, in Canada's perspective, this recent move is more to do with the U.S. change. For Canada, as I said, 70% of our exports have traditionally been to the United States, closely integrated economy. Our second largest trading partner is China. And so that's a reality that as the U.S. steps back from norms of trade and security, we do have to try and have responsible relationships, particularly for our agricultural products in Western Canada. But that's not at the sacrifice of our values, and that's what we're discussing here at the conference.
其实我非常同意刚刚我的同袍所讲的，那我再稍微补充一下，对于加拿大观点来说，美国的改变现在是比较让人棘手的一个课题。其实刚刚提到了传统上。加拿大70%的出口是销往美国，所以其实美国还有加拿大双边的经济整合度非常高，而且加拿大第2大的贸易伙伴是中国，所以目前我们面临到说，也许美国的一些举措已经有了改变，那这样子的话，要怎么样去跟其他的一些国家来建立伙伴，然后有责任的这个关系，真的非常的重要，特别是如何把这个在加拿大西部地区所生产的这些农产品能够外销，这是我们重要的一个重点之一，可是并不代表说我们要去牺牲掉我们所坚守的价值，所以值得省思。谢谢。
Thank you so much. Well, I think due to time constraints, so I'm afraid we must bring the press conference to a close. So I would like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to our distinguished guests for your presence and your participation. Your presence shows Taiwan's strong relationship with like-minded partners around the world. We look forward to further exchanges and cooperation in the years to come between Taiwan and your great nations. So once again, I hope the remainder of your time at the Yusan Forum and in Taiwan passes pleasantly and fruitfully. So, I also want to thank our friends from the media for being with us today, this evening. So finally, I want to propose, I would like to invite all of you, let's have a group photo. So maybe we can stand up and, to the center stage. Thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your time.